Okay, in the back, Renee Moxley Good had Hangnail Adam Page, and the Buckaroos came in. You know, the maggots used to call Joe Biden Sleepy Joe. I'm going to start calling Okada Sleepy O. Can anybody bother to wake him up when he comes to work? Do you think maybe they've stolen Okada from New Japan against his will, and he's doing all these things because he's drugged and can't resist? That's why he's in a coma whenever you see him.
There's so
You
many.
don't think there's
so
anything
many
to that?
questions about the entirety of the Okada run so far, and what are his motivations, and why is any of at this point, I don't think anyone's expecting him all of a sudden to become great or anything. But why this? Why any of this? At least he was wearing a suit that was the right size this week.
Well, it's the one the Undertaker picked out for him. But Maddie accepted the apology that Paige didn't give for whatever they did before, and they did their regular fake promo where they're playing heels, but they want you to know they're playing heels because nobody would ever actually act that way, even if they were heels. And then they offered to patch things up with Dick the Boozer and the Boar Horseman because we got to get that settled. And then Okada tried to do comedy by calling Paige a bitch, but then he took it back when Paige called him on it, but then he made a face of some description. And then Hangnail went out in the Owen Hart tournament to face wild card or the wild card entrant, which I thought wasn't. I thought the Yahoo they debuted 2 weeks ago was the wild card entrant. Kevin Knight, wasn't he a wild card? How many wild cards they have?
No,
here?
Kevin Knight replaced Jay White because Jay White got hurt, I think.
That's right. He's another one they sent to the hospital. So Josh Alexander from TNA, I've never watched him wrestle, but I have heard the name, the walking weapon, Josh Alexander. He's been in TNA. He debuts here. They've apparently just signed him. He got a pop when his name popped up on the screen because this is, again, they were a hotter crowd and also even smarter and more inside, it seemed like, than a lot of the crowds that AEW has been getting lately. But what the fuck? What the fuck? They bring this guy in. They announced they signed him. They debut him on television. We've never heard his goddamn voice. He didn't have a promo, not that I saw. And they put him in a tournament match with I guess he's going to be a heel. I couldn't really tell from the work, really. But they beat him with Paige. And what the fuck? They did it again. So now we know that this guy is in 13 minutes. He's a guy that comes in, has a good match, and he loses. And the announcers, in selling him to us at the start of the match, said, well, he wears that headgear because he had a cauliflower ear reattached surgically back years ago. And by the way, he's also had neck fusion surgery and overcome that. He's already bald and he doesn't look like he's 25 years old anymore. So now we've got a guy that has come in. We know all of his weaknesses. His ear fell off his head and he's got a bad neck. And he's not as young as he used to be. And then he loses the match. And this is the way they debut a new fucking talent. Help me, Brian.
And again, they need talent. If you can't get them from WWE, or at least until they release people, you can get them from TNA, I guess. If you were going to do something with him, why beat him night one?
Again, the people were cheering for Adam Page, but I couldn't tell from the match, from the work of the match, who the babyface, who the heel was. And they did nothing. And they just started out with some bit of wrestling. It was serious wrestling, looked tight. And then in 1 minute, they were trading forearms. And then Page goes ahead and does his stuff just like he's working with a guy that's been there for a year, instead of making sure that the people, first thing they see is Alexander looking good, and then Page has to figure out a way to work to come back from that. At one point, they're on the floor. Alexander missed a boot and straddled the railing, and I swear to God, had to sit there stock still motionless for Page to run around up the ramp and jump off the ramp to clothesline him. And there was a little bit of heat on Page. No heel shit. He just, Alexander took control, and then Page bowed up and fought back. But that's what I wrote. This was Alexander's chance to go out and get over. He's just doing moves. We've never seen him, never heard him speak. The match needed to stand out, and he needed to be established as a threat at the start of the match so that then Page would have something to struggle out from underneath, and then maybe blow a longer comeback at the end to make up for that. But then you're still beating Alexander, which is insanity in his first appearance on television. If you've signed him long term, to establish him immediately as a loser. And then in the phony department, since they were kind enough to tell us that he's got a bad neck, Alexander kicked out of a tombstone pile driver. Guy with a bad neck. But he couldn't kick out of the small package. That's what Page beat him with. 1, 2, 3. So they couldn't even beat the guy with a bad neck with a tombstone pile driver. Then I'll just small package you. Boom. What is wrong with these people?
Which people? Tony Khan for booking this guy to lose, or these two guys for booking this match, or the agent who did nothing?
All of these people. They don't have agents. They might have babysitters. I don't think they got it. So then Felcher and Don Fallis came out, and Kyle and Page had a sloppy fight until Alexander got the nod from Callis, and he attacked Page and powerbombed him, and then walked out while Kyle picked Page up and gave him a beautiful brain buster. See, if Kyle Felcher can do a brain buster like that, and he had, let's say, 8 weeks in a row of matches that lasted about 7 minutes where he beat a middle card guy with that brain buster, why, then that brain buster would be something that might make people nervous. But in the meantime, blah. And I bet somebody convinced Alexander when he came in and like, they're beating me. Oh, but you get to powerbomb him afterwards. I bet that they convinced him that would make some kind of difference in this. But yeah, so thanks for coming, Josh. You're, I guess, pretty useless at this point.
Welcome to AEW.
He didn't look bad, but anyway.